Welcome to Warn. Today we start top news stories with Narendra Modi in Israel. India Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu today signed 7 MoUs on some important areas of cooperation. Ranging from water to agriculture to space, the MoUs are expected to help take the bilateral cooperation between the two nations to a new level. Apart from these 7 MoUs, both leaders also held talks on combating terrorism and cybersecurity threats. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I agreed to do much more to protect our strategic interests. We will also cooperate to combat growing radicalization and terrorism. Our cybersecurity authorities will exchange expertise and knowledge to tackle this menace in cyberspace, PM Modi said, adding, "We also discussed the situation in West Asia and the wider region. It is India's hope that peace, dialogue, and restraint will prevail." Here are the 7 MoUs signed by PM Modi and Netanyahu and why they are significant. 1 MoU for setting up of India-Israel Industrial Research and Development and Technological Innovation Fund, I4F. 2 MoU for water conservation in India. 3 MoU on state water utility reform in India. 4 India-Israel Development Cooperation 3-year work program in agriculture 2018 to 2025. Plan of cooperation regarding atomic clocks. 6 MoU regarding cooperation in Geo-LEO optical link. 7 MoU regarding cooperation in electric propulsion for small satellites. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Washington last week was clearly an effort by both Modi and United States President Donald Trump to demonstrate that India-US ties remain strong and continue to deepen. The repeated embraces, 3 by most counts, serve as a visual reminder the continued closeness between the two countries. The joint statement presents a range of issues where India and the US will work more closely. One item stood out as particularly important. The US offered for India's consideration the sale of Sea Guardian unmanned aerial systems. This is significant for 3 reasons. First, if India and the US are able to reach an agreement on a deal for this type of an unmanned aerial system, UAS, it could mark the first transfer by the US of such a system to a non-ally country. Second, in announcing this offer to India, Trump effectively signaled that the US has staked out a new policy position in India's favor regarding potential constraints imposed under the Missile Technology Control Regime, MTCR. Third, in offering India Sea Guardians, the US recognizes that India is a maritime partner and the interests of both nations are aligning. Should India choose the Sea Guardian for its maritime surveillance missions, it would enable even greater cooperation. Russia and India are looking to sign a contract on the delivery of Russia's S-400 Triumph air defense systems this year, state arms exporter Rosoboronexport Director General Alexander Mikheyev told Sputnik. He said consultations are ongoing and focused efforts are being carried out to prepare New Delhi for contract negotiations. An entire program within the Indian side's technical requirements is being ironed out. We will try to sign this year, Mikheyev said. The Indian press estimates the value of the deal to deliver 5 S-400 systems from Russia at $5.5 billion. The S-400 Triumph is Russia's next-generation mobile surface-to-air missile system and can carry 3 different types of missiles capable of destroying aerial targets at a short to extremely long range. Pakistan on Wednesday conducted a training launch of a short-range, surface-to-surface ballistic missile NASR. Pakistan Military Chief General Qamar Bajwa used the launch to target India's cold start doctrine by saying NASR has put cold water on cold start. A statement by the military said training launches and tests/trials were conducted during the current week for validation of new technical parameters of NASR such as enhanced range from 60 km to 70 km and flight maneuverability. This weapon system will augment credible deterrence against prevailing threat spectrum more effectively, including anti-missile defenses. NASR is a high-precision weapon system with the ability of quick deployments, the statement said. Army Chief General Qamar Bajwa appreciated the standard of training and operational preparedness of the Army Strategic Force and congratulated the scientists and engineers on achieving this significant milestone towards Pakistan's credible deterrence capability. He expressed his complete confidence in effective command, control, safety, and security of all strategic assets and measures being taken to augment these. "You are our real heroes, the unseen, we owe you our gratitude. Nasr has put cold water on cold start," General Bajwa said. The Indian Army has begun the procurement process of next-generation GPS/GIS-based minefield recording system for its troops deployed in Himalayan terrain and northeastern parts of the country. The Army will use the equipment to record the location of mines laid in the system. The Army has invited domestic as well as global companies to supply the system. It has zeroed in on minefield equipment which has an accuracy of 4 cm or better and can help to destruct mines automatically after a set time. It should be possible to feed a desired minefield design in the system and carry out mine laying according to the prefed design, the Army document said. Recently, the Indian Army came up with a compilation of future core technology including automated minefield recording system. The Army set up the Army Design Bureau last year to boost indigenous capability for these future technologies which are being seen as catalysts for the participation of industry, academia, research and development organizations to fulfill the dream of self-reliance. The Army has asked Indian defense industries to work on self-propelled mechanical mine layer, based on high-mobility vehicles or tracked vehicle, which are capable of laying anti-tank mines. The mechanical mine layer, according to the Army, should be able to lay 250 to 300 miles an hour and be integrated with navigation and minefield recording system. Defense expert Praful Bakshi on Wednesday said that China is accusing India of betraying a British-era territorial understanding over the disputed border because it is peeved off by India's stand with America and the support received in return. China has been accusing India of betraying the agreement which was made during the British time. When China says that India has been betraying, that indicates China is just trying to talk about its own feelings and is at the moment peeved off by India's stand with America and its support to India, Bakshi told ANI. He added that the geopolitical position is changing and China must understand that they are not geographically in the same place where they were in the British time in the 1800s. They have gone into Pak and have been occupying the Indian territory of Pak, he said. After 2 nuclear tests last year and a new ballistic missile launch on February 12, North Korea has invited fresh denunciation and economic sanctions from the international community. Even China has been concerned as Pyongyang's development of nuclear weapons threatens Beijing's ability to rein in its capricious ally in past years. The assistance North Korea received from Pakistan in developing its nuclear weapons has been well publicized. In the 2005 article New Players on the Scene, AQCon and the Nuclear Black Market, U.S. Air Force Colonel Charles D. Lutz revealed the role Islamabad played in spreading nuclear technology to North Korea and Iran. Now, insider sources in China have indicated it was Beijing that indirectly supplied North Korea by aiding Pakistan's development of nuclear technology and gifting it critical raw materials. According to Huang Huiping, a former researcher at the China Institute of Atomic Energy, in the 1980s, one of the CIA's tasks was to transfer our nuclear technologies to other countries, including Pakistan. They sent people to China to study nuclear engineering, and China, including our institute, also sent specialists to Pakistan to assist in their nuclear technology. In 2009, the Washington Post cited Abdul Qadir Khan, the Pakistani nuclear scientist, as saying that in 1982, China had gifted us 50 kilograms of weapon-grade enriched uranium, enough for 2 weapons. Israel has recently signed a $2 billion deal to supply a missile defense system to the Indian Army, which can destroy aircraft, missiles, and drones within a radius of 70 kilometers. Reports have it that the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, and Israel Aerospace Industries, IAI, will jointly build 16 launchers and 560 missiles, including the BARAK-8 mid-range missile system. Israel Aerospace Industries, a defense company in Israel, has received the contract to supply mid-range advanced missile systems to India in what is being called the largest defense contract between the two countries. Apart from this, there has also been an agreement for the installation of this missile system in 40 INS Vikrant aircraft carriers. This defense agreement of worth $2 billion was finalized before Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Israel, and is believed to be crucial in strengthening the bilateral defense strategic partnership between the two countries. Earlier in February, the Cabinet Committee on Security, under supervision of PM Modi, had approved the missile defense system project. It will cost Rs 16,830 crore. Chinese companies operating in India should be alert and take steps to avoid being hit by anti-China sentiment following tension between the two nations over the border standoff in the Sikkim section, a leading official newspaper here warned today. An article in the Global Times called on Chinese firms to reduce their investments in India in view of the tension. Citing the sentiment that swept Vietnam in 2014 when many people were killed in riots after media reported that China fired water cannons at a Vietnamese vessel to frustrate moves by Hanoi to stop China's resource extraction in the disputed South China Sea, the article said violent attacks against Chinese interests may happen in India if the two countries see even small-scale military tension at the border. Chinese companies operating in India need to be alert and take precautions to avoid being hit by anti-Chinese sentiment following tension on the border between the two countries. Another article in the Daily known for its nationalistic views tonight said, many people believe Indian nationalism led to the country's independence from British rule decades ago, but now it is gradually evolving into an internal factor behind the anti-Chinese sentiment, which is fueled by ethnic and religious factors. A homemade assault rifle rejected by the Army last month functioned flawlessly without any stoppages, says its indignant manufacturer, the Government-run Ordnance Factory Board or OFB. NDTV broke the news a few weeks ago that the Army had, after trials of the new 7.62mm x 51mm assault rifle, concluded that it failed basic tests including being too noisy and indiscreet for combat. A report from the Army to the Defense Ministry seen by NDTV said that the indigenous rifle requires comprehensive design analysis and improvement. In response, in a letter to NDTV, Dr. U. Mukherjee, the spokesperson of the gun manufacturer, said that a top Army general fired the rifle during trials and it delivered like a dream. The Indian Army has a requirement for 1,85,000 assault rifles. With each rifle with associated equipment, such as sights, likely to cost approximately $1 lakh, the total value of the mega contract could be worth approximately Rs 1850 crores. The Ordnance Factory Board, which is an arms-making unit of the Defense Ministry, also says that senior Army officials reviewed the rifle at its factory in Ishapur, outside Kolkata in Bengal earlier this year. The prototypes were physically tested and more than 300 rounds of ammunition were fired without any stoppage, the manufacturer claimed, contradicting the Army which had called for a complete redesigning of the magazine to make loading the rifle easier. Safety mechanisms were also problematic with the rifle which had an excessive number of faults and stoppages, during trials, to the extent of more than 20 times the maximum permissible standards, the Army had complained. The OFB also says it has been successful in reducing the recoil of the assault rifle to a comfortable level and that the Ishapur factory is now manufacturing 10 more rifles for trial. The Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, on Monday successfully test-fired the Quick Reaction Surface-to-Air Missile, QRSAM. According to DRDO sources, the test was conducted from LC-3, Launch Complex, of the Integrated Test Range, ITR, in Chandipur, along the Odisha coast. Mounted on a truck, the short-range missile took off from a canister at 11.27 m and hit the target within 30 seconds. An electronic target was used during today's launch. This was QRSAM's second launch with the maiden one conducted on June 4, 2017. Developed by Defense Research and Development Laboratory, DRDL, scientists from DRDO's other labs including RCI, R&D engineers, and ITR were part of the QRSAM mission. Around 100 scientists were part of the launch campaign, with majority of them being youngsters, with their average age being 35 years. During the next launch, DRDO plans to engage the missile against an unmanned aerial platform. A homegrown seeker would also get on board the missile for the subsequent launches. With Indian Army being the first prospective user, DRDO is hopeful of the missile's induction after 7 to 8 more launches. The missile has a range between 20 to 30 km. Defense Minister Arun Jaitley congratulated DRDO scientists soon after the launch via a tweet. Successful flight test of quick reaction surface-to-air missile paves way for complete indigenization of surface-to-air missile domain. This will add to India's defense capabilities, Jaitley tweeted. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has given the first stage forest clearance to DRDO for setting up a new missile test launch facility at Gulalamota village in Krishna district. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this news. Please share your views in comment box. Please like and share this video. Press subscribe button and bell for auto update to you regarding my channel World Action and Reaction News. Warn.